You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
I feel this anger. MAGA senator takes unusual jab at Fox News and Newsmax based on an article by Nick Hilden. Republican infighting is not a crisis of tone. The real story. Senator Roger Marshall complained that Fox News and Newsmax are making Republican voters angry at him, John Thune, and Mitch McConnell. He said the right-wing media ecosystem runs a purity test, then turned around and appeared on Fox Business the same day. That is the entire circle. Grievance, performance, more grievance. Fox is not the author of the rut. Marshall is trying to blame the messengers for the message's effect. But Fox and Newsmax are not rogue forces standing outside Republican power. They are part of the machinery that helped build the party's current politics. They do not merely reflect Republican anger. They monetize it, direct it, and help enforce loyalty through humiliation. The complaint that media outlets are sowing division sounds like an elite discovering that the monster bites its handlers. That is not a revelation. It is the operating model. Trump sets the terms. The source makes the real power structure plain. Trump remains the center of gravity, and Republicans are still organized around his agenda. Marshall's frustration is not with conservative media in the abstract. It is with a party where Trump's meddling has crowded out other legislation and narrowed what counts as acceptable politics. That matters because it clarifies responsibility. This is not a free-floating vibe problem. It is a leadership problem, and Trump is the dominant actor in it. When the party's elected officials cannot move their own bills because the former president is fixated on his own priorities, that is not dysfunction from the margins. That is control from the top. Purity as discipline, the purity test Marshall complains about, is not an accident of media culture. It is a political weapon. Right-wing media keeps Republican politicians anxious, obedient, and perpetually performing outrage for an audience that has been taught to confuse punishment with principle. Levin's attack on Marshall shows the mechanism clearly. One public deviation, one blast of contempt, one reminder that even senators must stay inside the line. The goal is not debate. The goal is discipline. Republican officials are not being misled by their media ecosystem. They are being managed by it. Panic, not principle. The article frames this as widening frustration inside the GOP as the midterms approach. That is true enough, but it understates the larger problem. The party is feeling the consequences of building itself around grievance, spectacle, and one-man rule. When elections get harder and legislation stalls, there is no stable governing theory left to fall back on. Republicans are not merely divided over issues like the war. They are trapped in a structure where institutional power, media loyalty, and Trump's personal fixation all pull in different directions. The result is panic, because the party has spent years mistaking escalation for strategy. What this reveals, the real pattern here is familiar. A party that feeds on authoritarian media logic eventually gets consumed by it. Republican elites want the energy of permanent anger without the damage of permanent anger. They want Fox and Newsmax when those outlets mobilize voters. Then they want absolution when the same machine turns inward. That contradiction is not a side effect. It is the system working exactly as designed. The people with power built this ecosystem, relied on it, and kept feeding it. Now they are discovering that propaganda does not stop at the edge of the podium. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to AlterNet for today's article with the automated voice of LJ. Thanks for listening.